And
I did. I actually am not surprised at all that they killed Jerome off in this episode. I kind of had a feeling coming out of last week's episode that that was the direction that they were going in.
And honestly, I got that sense from the trailer, especially, but I was hoping I was wrong. And yeah, because I love the idea of the Joker, and I do want to see a backstory of probably one of the most very secret villains in the whole Batman universe. So it was kind of weird to see what they did with it of the Joker, but not Joker.
Well, again, I believe Brian Heller actually refers to Jerome as being the father of the Joker, because it's. Well, I think what we're going to see is, as the series progresses, we're going to see a bunch of copycats, and each copycat is going to go off and take what the previous one did to the next level. Just sort of like what we saw last season, where they introduced the persona of the Red Hood, and we know that in Batman, mythology, the Joker has been the Red Hood before he became, fell into the acid bath.
Yeah, it definitely took a while to kind of incorporate that into the whole idea of. It really wasn't until we saw Jerome and him acting like Joker that we started to kind of put two and two together. That since day one, we've almost seen the hinting and the pawing at the idea of Joker in Gotham.
Well, exactly, and I'm not sure we're even done seeing the Red Hood character, which was introduced last season. Just because a young boy picks up the Red Hood and puts it on and starts playing around. So I do think eventually we might see something else come out of this.
You know what I'm actually wondering? To go with the Red Hood, I wonder if it was actually foretelling of who Joker actually is.
It could be. It could have been that young man that we went off and saw.
The young boy who picked up the Red Hood, and now you got the whole infectious laugh of Jerome, pretty much infecting the city.
Yeah, exactly.
I do question if maybe that young boy who picked up the hood will actually, in fact, become the Joker, and they were telling a story before they told the story.
That's quite possible. And again, I mean, at the end of the show, we saw at minimum 4, possibly 5 different people go off and individually start to mimic his laugh. So, I mean, it's quite possible.
The boy was definitely the best.
The little boy who's like watching TV and laughing while his parents are arguing in the background.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. It was definitely a very unique aspect to the show, and I really hope that maybe by the end of the season we start seeing who the real Joker is. Along with, I was glad to finally see the Penguin back.
Oh, I was too. And I wanted to go off and bring this up because earlier in the episode we see Harvey Dent suggest to Gordon that they go see the Penguin, and Gordon's against it, and Harvey knows why, because Jim has went off and confided in him what he had to do, and the confrontation between Harvey Dent and the Penguin I thought was awesome. You see Harvey Dent having absolutely no fear of the Penguin whatsoever.
Yeah.
Going off and bringing up the fact that the Penguin used to be the umbrella holder for Fish Mooney, and reminding the Penguin that he still owes him for for killing off Fish, and then going off and leaving, and you just see the Penguin is just so frustrated, and you can see that he's clearly not completely confident, in his control over Gotham.
No, and honestly, right from the start of this season, I never believed that Penguin had a full stranglehold on the city. There was a lot of people, who did stand by Maroni and Falcone, and that'll never change. Retirement or not, I am kind of glad we don't see either one of them around at the moment.
Well, I mean, we know Falcone is retired. Everyone else that's been in the Penguin's way is dead. I do think that eventually, and I brought this up last week, I think at some point the Penguin may turn to Jim, to get some more favors, as Theo Gallivan and the plan that he and Tabitha have come, up with it's slowly going to put a vice grip around the Penguins' supposed hold over Gotham.
Yeah, and I agree. I think Theo and Tabitha, Tigress, are the only real threats at this moment to Penguin and his idea that he controls the city.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously. I mean, he goes off, he made some comments about Jerome and, kind of how, seemed to be, looking down on it, but then he goes off and says, maybe I need to change my laugh.
Yeah. So, Jerome definitely had an impact on everybody in Gotham, definitely. Bruce, I think, was the most affected, considering, Bruce was actually willing to stand up to him to protect Alfred.
I think that's pretty interesting because just from reading from interviews and stuff, I do know for a fact that, Bruce is going to end up spending some time with Tabitha and with Theo. And so this kind of seems to introduce the idea that Alfred is going to allow, this interaction to occur without realizing that, this is the real threat.
Yeah, no, and definitely a clever, part of the season, and I'm definitely looking forward to the rest of the season.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't, this is actually one of the first shows that I don't know the direction they're going to take it in. I don't know exactly how they're going to do it. The season's titled "The Rise of the Villains." We've seen the fall of the villains already.
We've seen again. Just as I mentioned, a lot of the maniacs are dead, and I'm actually okay with that because I really felt that there was too many villains, and now they're able to go off and focus. And I think what we're going to see is, again, we're going to see that slow burn, towards seeing who the Joker really is. Where, of course, I mean, Ed didn't appear in this episode, but I mean, we know that in future episodes they're going to go off and they're going to continue Ed Nigma's digression into, the Riddler.
I think actually this was the very first episode during the entire series that he has not appeared in.
I'd have to go off and double check, but I think you might be right.
He has pretty much appeared in every single one, especially, working in the Gotham, police station.
Yeah.
So it was kind of strange not seeing him, but I think, honestly, maybe in that one episode you don't see him, he's going to make a huge turn.
I think, I'd be kind of interested. I haven't seen the trailer for the next episode yet. So I'm not really sure which direction they're going in. What I'd like to see them do with him is that, the young woman who's his love interest.
Miss Kringle.
Yes. I'd like to see that, she goes off and gives him an opportunity for a date because he saves her from Jerome and his goons. And then that date goes badly. And then we see, the next step in his digression to the Riddler.
Yeah, I was half expecting to have her actually killed off, to be honest. And that would be what sparks his complete diabolical turn into the Riddler.
I'm not sure that would have happened, though. I honestly think that her death might actually, in some ways, stopped his digression into the Riddler. Because that was part of the obsession. And if you remove the obsession, then those dark thoughts, will go away. And of course, then he would have to go off and try to focus on something else. I do think that she will be killed off, but it's going to be the Riddler who kills her.
Yeah, and I definitely agree. It's going to be tough. I'm looking forward to what they're going to do. There's a lot of storylines they could go with, a lot of storylines that they may go with. As I stated though, Barbara as the Joker, I do not like, and I hope they avoid that scenario.
But again, I think she's part of the long game for the Galvans. Theo went off and promised that Barbara would see the fall of Jim Gordon, and that he wouldn't necessarily die, but he would be destroyed.
And as we all know, Jim Gordon does not fall.
So it'd be interesting to see exactly where this all leads. Now, one more thing on the show before we go. There is a couple of interactions between Selena and Bruce at this the party. And I don't know, I mean, it's really interesting to go off and watch this because you can see, sort of a budding romance between these two.
You definitely got that impression.
Yeah, and I mean, and it's something that, I mean, for Batman fans, I mean, there's always seems to have been something between Catwoman and Batman. And so, it's kind of nice to see Bruce going off and saying to her, I miss you. And she kind of brushes him off because she's there to steal from all these rich people. But she actually makes an effort to save Bruce's life when Jerome and Barbara start, killing people. So it's interesting. I like where everything's really going here. And I really am looking forward to seeing what happens in next week's episode.
I definitely am too. I look forward to every episode, every week. Monday is pretty much my favorite night of the week. But unfortunately, that's going to change because starting this weekend, Walking Dead on every Sunday.
There you go, man.
Followed by The Talking Dead.
So
with the host of The Nerdist.
Yes, absolutely. I like him. Anyway, you kind of caught me off guard there. But yeah,
that's my job.
Yeah, it's your job. And I know what I'll be doing when I get home tonight. I'm going to be watching the second episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. The Flash starts tonight as well, so if I get some time, I'll watch it. If not, I may have to put that off to the weekend. I don't know.
And what I'm going to do tonight is watch neither of them.
More than likely not. Yeah. Okay, you know what, guys? It's time for us to wrap it up. Thank you once again for listening to us. You can go off and you can follow us on Twitter.
Oh, I'm going first.
You always go first.
Usually I introduce myself. So at Real CAPT Fizz, so at Real Captain Fizz.
You can follow this loco fellow at That Mask Guy. You can follow the show at FizzMask Show. We're also on Instagram, YouTube, and somewhere on Facebook.
Somewhere's on Facebook.
Somewhere's on Facebook, and we're even on Tumblr somewheres. So, and again, just look up the Captain Fizz and Mask Guy Show on any of those forums. You should be able to find us. Yeah, I don't know what else to say.
No, it's just...
Maybe in the words of, the Tick, spoon!
Spoon?
You obviously never watched The Tick.
I remember the Tick.
Yeah.
We just delved really low into our arsenal of catchphrases.
Spoon! Okay, you know what, guys? Time to go. So, in the meantime, and in between time, good night, God bless, and may the Force be with you.
And as always, stay frosty, my people. Good night.
Good night, everybody.